What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter. My name is Verno, and we are continuing our summer abroad. We've been to where have we been? We've been to Japan, we've been to Italy, and now we are finally in South Korea talking about one of the most celebrated films that we will probably ever get a chance to talk about on this YouTube channel right here. We're doing Parasite, which won 4 Academy Awards when it came out in 2019, directed by Bong Joon-ho. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Dude made Snowpiercer. He did Okja. He's a genius. He's just like, in my opinion, he's a flat out genius. And Link, my man down there, recommended this flick. So Link, I say to you, respect all day, every day, my friend. I appreciate that.
I was not ready for that.
Stu, my brother, I'm glad you could make your return this week after Heroes Con last week. What
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be back with you fellas. What up? Yeah, I can't wait to get into it, man. Such an epic film to break down. So many things going on. Can't wait to talk about it.
I know, man. It's like it really is just like a smart film. I'm like, damn, I better study up on this one. This is like an important piece of cinema that we're talking about. But Link, my man, respect to you, dude. Well, welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter, brother.
Glad to be back. Still figuring this mic out. Hopefully,
if you got to lean into it, you've got it down too low. So I mean, I think you're good. Just
yeah, you're good, bro.
I got this new fucking fancy chair behind me. I'm fucking feeling a little. I won't be shifting on my fat ass so much during the stream. But this is a movie. First of all, is it horror? No, but it fits in the theme with Summer Abroad. That's sure as shit. And also, I see this covered on other horror podcasts. Evolution of Horror just covered on their home invasion series that they did. And while I'm watching it, first time watch for me, I'm going through it and I'm like, I'm honestly getting a little bit worried. I'm like, is there any fucking horror in this movie? And then like halfway through where it goes, I was like, oh, okay, here it comes. And it still doesn't go like full horror until I wouldn't even call it horror at the very end. When it's like, okay, there's a massacre, there's blood flying around, people are being stabbed with knives. Like, all right, it fits close enough. But I found the movie to be brilliant. Like, I really enjoyed it, and then it just stuck with me. Like afterwards, it just would not leave my head. I'm in the shower the next day. I'm thinking about Parasite. I'm trying to wash that sub basement smell off me and shit. So it really is one of those. It's one of the best movies that I've seen in quite a while. Super funny, deep. It resonates, and it's like it's not preachy. It doesn't tell you how to think or how to feel, but it makes you think and feel a lot of things, which is like the best kind of filmmaking. It's probably why it won Best Picture. Which, by the way, I said it won 4 Academy Awards. It won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay, I think, and Best International Film. It's the first foreign language film to ever win Best Picture, and it's the first South Korean film to ever win an Academy Award. So just a monumental piece of cinema here. But Stu, my brother, who you've seen this before, right? Not a first time watch for you?
No. So it was the second time watch. Saw it when it first came out, but yeah, just as epic as the first time. Love this film, love this director. I think he's such a generational talent, not only behind the camera, but when he picks up the pen. I think he's a superb screenwriter. The way this is paced and put together is just so seamless and tight. Just from the, like you said, it's not a horror movie, but just from the very first few beats, man, like the pace of it, you're right in the mix. You're learning on the fly who these people are, and I think he does a great job of whether it's set design or like one-on-one moments with these characters of kind of like showing you who these people are and where they're coming from and what they're struggling with. But yeah, just like so many of his other films, has so much to say about classism, inequality, wealth, and like you said, dude, I just know like that when we're moving towards that final scene where I think it's Kyu or Kevin or whatever is kind of like, narrating and imagining his end or whatever. It's just like, man, it really hit home for me. And it's just like, man, this is profound. This is an amazing experience to watch this movie and to all the themes, the symbology, all the like
symbology. Damn, my brother. Yeah. I'm about to fucking Google that, but all right, go ahead.
all the trains of thoughts it takes you through, and like you said, like we were saying in the back chat, and we're gonna get to it, like who's right, who's morally right or wrong in this situation. Just so many things, man. And I love, even though it's South Korean, I think this is a great one for Summer Abroad, because it has so many reflections of Western capitalism and
Yeah,
things that we struggle with a lot in the States. So yeah,
totally.
man, just a an amazing movie. I'm so happy to be here breaking it down with y'all.
Hell yeah, man. I'm
Yeah,
so
man.
excited to be doing this one. It oh, you just made me think of something. the I looked into a little bit because it does feel almost in a way less foreign than some of the other foreign films that were covered. Partially it's because Bong Joon-ho, he's worked in the Hollywood system before. He did Snowpiercer, as I said. I don't know if Okja is an American film or not. I feel like it is South Korean. It takes place over there quite a bit. But he's someone that understands American audiences clearly. I was gonna bring. Oh, both you guys saw Godzilla -1. No spoilers for anybody. Something we didn't mention, Link, on the show. Do you remember the montage bit where it like brings in this really corny, cheesy music, and it's like showing you how the family's coming together and bonding? You guys remember that?
Yes.
God's it just like it hit really funny. Like this is not aimed at an American audience. And sometimes, especially Asian films, they just use different music at certain times. This has none of that. Like the montage scenes we get in this, they're way more Americanized. This is a dude that is thinking Academy Award. He's thinking making millions of dollars in America while he's making his films. But Steph, my brother, who recommended this one, and I'm so glad you did. What's your overall thoughts, brother?
I love this film. I'm a big fan of that Bong Joon. To begin with,
Mm-hmm.
what was the first film? I think Snowpiercer might have been. No, The Host. The Host, obviously.
Oh yeah, I
But then
forgot
I
that
don't
one.
think I had seen anything from The Host until like Snowpiercer. That was almost like a 10 year gap. But I love this one. He always follows like themes of like the working man versus the higher ups or people with
Hmm.
privilege, with class status. And I feel like, in every film of his, he has like that, he's like studying that theme. And
Hmm.
I feel like it's the pinnacle of, every film he's been leveling up, trying to explore that theme more. And I feel like this is like the pinnacle of that theme he's been following throughout his film career. Brilliant film though. Like you were guys saying, it's very morally gray. It doesn't
Hmm.
tell you who's a bad guy, who's a good guy, because to be honest, everybody's a parasite. The rich
Hmm.
families are parasites off the working class. Like they can't do anything without the people who aren't willing to work for them. And then how you have the working class who are they have to do the bidding of the rich in order to get by. So it's like they're both parasitic, but it's symbiotic in a sense as well. Brilliant film though. Yeah, I remember. I remember I didn't see this one in theaters, but I was aware of it. And when it came out, it started winning all these awards. I was like, oh my god, I got FOMO, and I ended up
Right.
watch this very quickly. But I
Dude,
love it.
I'll tell you what I have, excuse me, FOMO of. I guess I haven't missed out on it. I couldn't justify the purchase. There's a Criterion Blu-ray of this that comes with a black and white version, and I'm just kind of dying to see that. It was oversaw by
Oh,
Bong Joon-ho. Yeah, there's just something about that. That's the only way to watch it. Evidently, I think you can't watch it digitally. And it's $40 for the Criterion Blu-ray though. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's a little. If it was a horror movie, it's like I've got these horror collections. It's like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't
yeah.
know. I couldn't justify the purchase, and I do. I'm not gonna lie. I probably buy too many of the movies that we cover just to watch the special features and shit that's on HBO, and I'm still buying it. But oh, Steph, you made me think of something. God damn it, I'm not. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to like. My brain's gonna work today. Oh,
Vern, let me
oh,
ask you something. Oh, sorry.
please,
Go ahead.
no, please,
What no, Do you have a copy of this movie, like in just a regular? No,
no.
okay. I was just wondering if what the special features were like on. I'd love to hear some director commentary
I'm
and
pretty
stuff like that
sure
on this one.
I know there's a lot of special features on the Criterion edition of it, which is $40. You can get it like dirt cheap. The 4K is actually only $14. And I don't know the special features on that, but it's just Criterion just makes such great
Yeah, for sure.
additions to their
Right.
stuff that if I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna buy that one. But oh, I know what I was thinking, what you reminded me of, Link. There was a lot of pushback from the studio at first on the title Parasite because they didn't like the way it's like, oh, we're calling this poor family parasites, but he really had to break it down to the studio exactly what you were just saying. How it's like the poor family, yeah, they're kind of leeching off the rich family, but the rich family is parasitic to the poor. They can't even drive themselves around or cook their own meal or take care of their kids. And it's just that symbiotic relationship that you were talking. It is a clever ass name. And it's just
It is.
such a fucking loaded name. So it's loaded with such symbolism throughout. I love the guy,
Yeah.
so metaphorical. He's
Yeah,
but,
with the
but
stone when he gets it.
trying not
And
to
it
do the Asian accent that I catch myself
yeah.
doing, even though he doesn't say metaphorical.
But I feel like the movie title takes on a whole nother meaning like halfway through. I know we're gonna get to it, you know what I mean? But as the
Hmm,
movie and the story progresses, that I feel like that name only deepens in meaning
totally.
and in detail what you could get out of it.
Warren, my brother.
Warren, what up, bro?
What up, man? Inja says the entire situation is scary. Lives can be ruined at a moment's at any moment, and the stakes are continuously raised. For real, though, and what they do so brilliantly throughout the film is show you how it's all about the perspective. Like when it rains at one point in the movie, oh, this is nice. It's a low pollution day the next day. It's fun to watch the rain, and it's catastrophic for the poor family. Their house is being flooded out. But let me set up the premise real quick. It's such an interesting, simple story. But basically, we have this poor family and we have this rich family, and the poor family is slowly infiltrating the rich family. None of them have the credentials to work for this rich family, but the son gets it in. He fakes some documents, and now he's tutoring their son. And then he gets his sister in, and she's teaching art. His dad's driving, and now his mom's the maid. So there's this process. Like the first hour of the film kind of plays like a heist movie.
Yeah,
It's like an Ocean's 11 flick
like a
where
con game.
we're infiltrating this family and we're kind of taking over, and it's done like where it's funny and it's lighthearted, but lives are being ruined at the same time. We're
Yeah,
ruining the others helps lives while they're moving in, but that's the situation. That's the kind of the cards that they're dealt and the game they have to play. But Stu, my brother, what do you just think about like the introduction that we have to that the whole basically the heist aspect of it?
oh man, I love our introduction to the Kims just straight off. How they're like he's trying to find Wi-Fi, and like he's got he's got to climb the, like in their apartment the stairs lead up to the toilet, and like that's the one spot he can find the Wi-Fi. I just thought that was like a great introduction to like how hardened and like and bitter like society has made this family, and how they're how tough they are. And then I love, like you said, like the slow con game, how the son gets in, like, and I love too when his friend comes over, like you said, him getting that rock.
Mhm.
This is so metaphorical, man. And like, I love when the rich friend shows up and he's like, you didn't have to come to my house, like I didn't want you to see me like this, you know
Right.
what I mean? And I love how he sees himself in that kid, and eventually he tries to become men, right? He
Right.
wants to date the girl, and like he wants to do, like he wants to ask her out when she goes to university just like men did. So I love how that's like the whole impetus for it. And he gradually like, I love the putting the sister on, and then the dad. I love the peach fuzz
Oh
operation
my
on the
god.
housekeeper, like
It's so
just the way
cold-blooded.
that was cool. That was like Bond, like, right, like pulling up to the house, and the way they timed it out, and then she's like, this will be the icing on the cake with the bloody rag and the trash can. But I love the way they set that up, right? And then it feels like you kind of feel happy for them. You're like, they've done it. They've and here they are, they're partying in the house, and this other family is gone. And then I was reading or watching an interview with Bong Joon-ho. He said, it's two films, and the first half of the film ends when that doorbell rings. The sound of the doorbell when
Right.
that housekeeper shows back up is the end of the first film, and then it takes on, like, what do you mean? Like, we're talking about Parasite, and like, and her running downstairs terrified, and find it, like, everything from that point on is just a whole nother
Totally.
ball game. But I love how we're introduced to the Kims in that apartment. We through the introduction of like all those jobs, we get to learn about each family member. I love, them coming out of that dingy like subterranean basement and kind of ascending
Yeah.
into like this house on the hills.
There's so
Uh,
much of that. It reminds me of
that's
Snowpiercer, where you're either at the back of the
absolutely,
train or
dude.
you got to get to the front of the train. It's very
Absolutely.
Just while I'm thinking of it, he wrote this while he was making Snowpiercer, and as a play,
Oh wow.
he turned it into a play right after Snowpiercer. So this is a project from along the same timeline. So that's interesting. You can totally
Oh,
see that they're very similar.
absolutely. But I just all those little things. You go back and you notice them, but like they affect you in a different way on first watch. And I just thought that was brilliant. Like how that's
Mm.
that clinical poshness of the house, and like that's the first time we're really getting colors and sunlight and all that. Like is when he's first getting to that house, and just like the whole theme throughout the movie, elevation. Elevation and like the subterranean, like how they're both on these separate ends of the spectrum. And I know we'll get to the middle part and that scene. I want to talk about that more, but yeah, just for the first part, I thought it was masterful, man.
Hell yeah,
So
brother. Angie just saying they prove they are qualified for those jobs, for the working roles. That's one of the brilliant things about it. I think we all pretty like how many people do we know that have went to school for something? I'll use my wife as an example. She went to school for nursing and then she gets a job at nursing at a nursing home and instantly like forget everything you know. And that's like how many I've done that for so many of my jobs. When I was a mailman, you go through this whole like training process for weeks. It's like this big thing, and then you start, they're like forget everything you know. So it's like we all could do a lot of these fucking jobs, but you have to jump through all these hoops. You got to have all this money to go to a university to get the diploma. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like it's probably a good thing. I want my doctor to have went to school, but it's like I don't know. It's not necessarily a perfect system for sure, but that's the thing about this movie. It raises so many questions that I don't have the fucking answer to, but it kind of reminds you that these are things that need to be thought about and dealt with. But Steph, my brother, what's your thoughts on the heist portion of the flick?
Before we get to that, real quick, to speak on the point of what Angel brought up about them being qualified. I think that speaks to the classism, like oftentimes because someone has a piece of paper that certifies them, they can be a complete jackass and not be qualified for the job, but because they got lucky through school or paid somebody off to get
Right.
past, shit like this happens. Unfortunately, they'll be looked at as more qualified for a particular job when someone who's self-taught, naturally more smart, intelligent, is realistically more capable for the job, but because they don't have that piece of paper, which like you said, you got to jump through hoops in order to get, and sometimes they make that impossible.
This becomes more true with YouTube. Like how many
Yes.
things could we like? I didn't know how to do it, but now I can do fucking anything. I just YouTube and figure out how to do it. It's more and more true every day.
Self-taught. I mean, like there's a lot of like self-made successful people, that show you don't got to go to school in order to be successful. And I mean, it doesn't hurt, but
Right.
I think it's to that,
Warren wasted years in ninja school. He could have done it on YouTube.
Yeah,
but the heist thing, you know what? I was thinking that I wouldn't be surprised if like the next, maybe not the next film, but eventually the director tackles like a heist film, because we're like when Stu was talking about the peach excrements or whatever, that whole montage of them like her buying the peach and then the brother walking by reminded me very Ocean's 11,
Totally.
like
yes, absolutely.
but
also, dude, horror. I just want to say that one shot where the kid was eating the birthday cake and that face popped up on the staircase.
Yeah,
freaking like primo, man. I was like, man, this dude should do a horror film, straight up horror. That would be great.
Right. His next film, while we're on the subject, is coming out in 2025 called Mickey 17, based on the novel by the same name. It's like a sci-fi thing. It's some weird high concept. I think people traveling in space, some weird shit.
Is Rob Hansen in it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I remember.
There's a bunch of big names in it. I lost him, but yes, yeah.
But I like the heist aspect. It's not jarring either because there is a tonal shift. Like it becomes very dark.
Can I just interrupt again? When it kind of changes for me for the first time is when we see the maid leaving after she's been fired, and it's one of the really good like perception things where all of a sudden like her hair is disheveled and she's walking in the rain and we all of a sudden view her completely differently. Before, like the way that the filmmakers are making us not give a shit that she's fired, we're like, get fired, and then they instantly make us realize what we've been a part of. You know what I mean? It's just so brilliantly done like that.
Yeah,
Everyone's
very
feeding
true.
off it. In this whole film, there's not one character who wasn't feeding off somebody else, you know, in
Mm-hmm.
a parasitic way. Maybe the
Mm-hmm.
children not so much, but
Maybe the guy that gets in the job in the first place is the, you know what I mean, his friend.
I mean, he was like
He's
he was
macking
kind
on
of
this 16-year-old girl, which I don't know if there's cultural differences in that. If this
Yeah.
movie came out here, we'd be like, "Whoa!" But they act like that's fine. They're like,
And
"What?" You know?
what was up with the mother and him's relationship? The way the mother was talking about him in that job interview, I was like, did those two have something going on? She was like, because Min
Hmm.
was so like, exceeded all like she was talking him all swoony about him. I
I
was like,
think
I,
she is just very easy to charm and win over.
mhm.
He was manipulating her more or less, you know.
She was very depressed. It seemed like, you know, she was always like drinking or having not heavily, but remember they're on the, not to get too far ahead, but remember they're on the
Mm-hmm.
couch, family's hiding under the table, and they get busy and
Mm-hmm.
get me drugs,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm just like,
Well, what's interesting, and he's saying, "Oh, I if you were wearing those cheap
those cheap
panties."
panties,
So
yeah.
they're fantasizing that they are the help or that they're
mhm.
lower class. You know what I mean? Which is, people do that. You dirty girl, you little. You know what I mean? Not saying I've ever done that, but some people enjoy that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Too late now, Vern.
But Link, did you have more, my brother?
No, I enjoyed it. And you know, it's not jarring when they switch gears. You know, it's a weird blend, this film, but I mean,
Totally.
that's all of his films. Now that I'm thinking on it, like he's always got heavy elements, different genres blended.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, yeah, it's just masterclass filmmaking. But it's, you know what's weird? Not to get too far ahead again, is
Mm-hmm.
that about an hour into this film, you know, a lot of shit has happened, and then I feel like that was like when the maid thing happened, which is I guess the second act or the third act, second half of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Never, you know, it feels like a lot of shit's happened, and you still got like an hour and 20 minutes to go, an hour and 30 minutes to go, and you still feel like so much has happened. But towards the end of the film, it doesn't feel like it's been that long. You get what I'm saying?
Totally.
Like you get,
Yeah, yeah.
but it never outstays its welcome, which
It's
I really love.
so it's like what? It's like
So
2
true.
hours and 10, two
It
hours and
is.
12. And we say
Mhm.
this a lot. Well, first of all, we don't cover that many movies that are that long. We try and steer clear of them in the horror world. But it says a lot the way it fucking cruises by and how watchable it is. I've
Yes.
been telling everybody that will listen to check out these Hitchcock films that are on Prime. They're leaving in 11 days. Rope, Vertigo, and Rear Window. They're leaving Prime, but it's the same thing. Like most of them are 2 hours long. It's like you just feel like, how did they do that? Like, what kind
Right.
of fucking sorcery did they just do to like make it's like it's slow in a lot of ways at points, and it's never
Yeah.
like it's unobtrusive. I guess that's a similar thing like with these Hitchcock movies. It's never too loud, it's never too annoying. And like, but when it does, that's part of what makes the horror hit so hard, is you're almost not expecting it. You're lulled into this sense of like, oh, this is just a little fun heist movie. Nothing scary is gonna happen. And then you get that fucking creepy ghost guy. But let's dive into a little bit, because basically how it goes down, as we've mentioned, it's a successful infiltration, right? We've got our whole family in, they've got the rest of the help out, and there's a night where the family is going camping. The rich family is going camping, and we've got our family, the poor family. They decide to all come and hang out with the mom who lives there as the maid, and they're all just hanging out in the living room, drinking, having some beers, enjoying the rain as it's coming down. And two things happen. At one point, as we mentioned, the old maid shows up. She rings on the doorbell, and you're like, oh shit, what is this? And what it leads to is we have this long one shot following her down to this basement. And what we end up finding out, and I'm fucking being like, oh, okay, here we go. It's about to get
Yeah. I
fucking
felt like
crazy.
it was a Barbarian all over again.
Totally, exactly like Barbarian. They go down to the basement, and what we find out, there's this secret room, the secret room in the basement where the old maid's husband has been hiding for over 4 years. So we never looked at her as like poor and as part of the system because she was living there. But now we're getting more insight into, oh, she basically did the same thing that this family did. We don't know how it went down, but she infiltrated this home when it was bought, and they are part of that lower class. They've lacked the ability for upward mobility. which, by the way, I looked into a little bit. It's never easy. Upward social mobility isn't necessarily the easiest thing in America, but we have a much bigger middle class in the States than they have in South Korea. And we're also more focused on uh, hard work and proving your basically they're more stuck on, do you have a degree? No, get the fuck out. If you have the degree, you're in. What's your family? Like your family and your past and your history is so much more important and their culture. And to us, don't get me wrong, it is important. First job I ever got was because my dad got me the fucking job, but it's more of like a secret thing. It's more like a hush. You know what I mean? It's not like on the surface, like, oh no, who's your dad? Like, well, I wasn't saying that was the story. That's just how it is. But it's just pointing out some of the differences in the society. Let me go take care of this. Stu, kind of what are your thoughts on just that whole chunk that we've been diving into? The rainy night, the maid showing up, and then the other bit that I didn't mention, we get a phone call. It's raining. The camping trip has ended. We'll be there in 10 minutes. Make me my ram dong or whatever the fuck it is. I think she's chill. But what do you think about the rainy night?
Well, first of all, like when it's just crazy, right? That scene, and I love the way it's shot with the like the handheld camera following her down the steps, and it's just crazy as hell. And the way she's shrieking her her husband's name, honey, and it's just wild as hell. I also like how, you know, he's hiding out from loan shark debts, but he's got like a different view. Like it's made him, like, his poverty has made him more delusional. Like the whole thing with the Morse code and the lights, and like he's been sending messages to Mr. Park in the hopes that he could see him, and like, you know, he
respect. He respects him so much.
Likes to bathe in the sunlight of his like creative vibes and all that weird like that nonsense. It's like there's some like worship factor going on, right? So it was like more unsettling in that way.
Do you know what's kind of interesting? The Kim family, who I don't know if that's the name or not. I might be screwed up. The Poor family, they are very similar with the guy that gets him the gig in the first place. When the son's rich friend pulled, oh, he's so respect. God damn it! Don't do the Asian fucking accent, Bruno. They're like so impressed with him, and they're in the situation. This guy is going up and pissing next to their window, and they don't have like the pride to tell him to stop.
Exactly, yeah.
But they're so impressed with this guy that did show up. So it shows that this, like, the way that the poor people in the society like look up and respect so much the rich people. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I love how he uses you know, what is it, a Kiyu or whatever, uses that moment like the next day when he's got his tryout for the tutor spot. You know, he uses that, like his parents are like, look at that vigor, he's got such vigor, and he uses that quote and that instance to like kind of get himself the job. I thought that was brilliant. Like how they always, like, they're gonna, you know, take anything they can use, you know, and you know, try to twist it or wring it dry for whatever they can. I thought that was a really cool little glimpse at his ingenuity. But dude, the doorbell scene and the escape from the house was cool, right? And them hiding under the table, and you know, the weird married couple sex and all that stuff. But to me, the scene, my favorite scene in the film, was that run back home, and you really get the distance and like the size of like how far apart these two families are.
That's what I want to see in black and white.
Brilliant, man. Absolutely. That was right. And it was just, there was nothing happening. It was just them, you know, it looked like a game in Mario, or a level in Mario Brothers. It was just like constantly going down the stairs and just drenched in rain and running through tunnels. And I thought that was brilliant, just to really reinforce, like, you know, like I said, how far apart. And then when they get to the apartment and how it breaks them. Really, it breaks, like the mom's back at home, but that's really the final straw for the dad and for Kiyu when he finds the rock in the water, and you know what I mean? Like that has such a adverse effect on them, like moving forward. I just thought, to me, it was the most brilliant part of the film, and like, you know, I was already hooked and I was already in, but after that, I was completely invested in these characters' journeys, and knowing things were going to go bad or end up on the wrong side of things, but not knowing who was going to do what. And, you know, the ending is completely unexpected, but man, I thought that one night, you know, that scene, like them sneaking out of the house, but that whole run home, I thought was just some masterful filmmaking. When you talk about like cinematography and just saying so many things without saying anything really. It
Totally.
was fantastic.
Saying things without saying things. That's like such a sign of a good filmmaker. I meant to say this.
Absolutely.
I meant to say this at the beginning. For anyone that is here right now, I'm doing a different film this Sunday than I was doing. You just made me think of it. I'm doing Dream Home was the plan. It's not streaming fucking anywhere. It says it's on Shudder. It says it's on AMC Plus. It's not. Trust me, I've looked. You can't buy the thing. You can't rent it, but you can rent it on YouTube. So anyway, just because of that, I'm doing a double feature this Sunday, and we're going to cover, me and my buddy Wes, we're going to talk Funny Games from 1997, which that's what made me think of it. The first half hour of that film, they're showing you one thing, but something else is going on the entire time.
So good.
It's so fucking brilliant. But we're going to do Funny Games from 1997 and Dream Home from 2010. Dream Home, you're going to have a hard time finding, but Funny Games is on Max. So I figured we'll still do the Dream Home and do Funny Games too. Sorry for cutting you off, and that's a very fucking random thing to throw out there. That walk home, I love the way the water builds up as they get deeper and deeper. Like you said, it gets more and more intense. And then right before they get home, he looks down at his shoes and he's like, fuck. He's like, our house is going to be, you know what I mean? He's starting to realize what it's going to be like. The other thing I wanted to say is just like we are in the perspective of the poor family the whole time. And I would like to think that I am more like them. And I'm not fucking rich by fucking any means. I'm barely middle class. But in reality, like we have them, I act, I'll talk for myself, almost more like the rich family in a lot of instances. And that this movie makes you fucking realize that. Like I'll say all the time, and I will continue to say in the future, I love it when it rains. I love it when it rains. I fucking love a good storm. Listen to it. It's fucking crazy. But there's people out there that are like, oh, this is ruining their fucking night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're out there under the bridge, but it's hard to think like that because I love the rain. You know what I mean? It's just like another thing is fucked up to say, but if I had a driver, I don't have a fucking driver. I never will. If I had a driver and that dude fucking stunk, there's a decent chance I would talk shit to my wife at some point. I hate to fucking say it, but I probably fucking would if I'd be like, have you ever smelled Mr. Do you fucking, ugh, you know what I mean? So that it
does, but I think that, it's different as opposed to if you're going to be blunt and open about it and disrespectful or opposed something. If it's something that's on your mind that bothers you, of course, speaking to like your significant other about it is,
right.
It's almost like you're venting. But this is something people do. But yeah, I agree with that. That is something like, you're like, man, bro. You're like, like I said, if your driver stunk, you're not gonna be like, dude, you smell like shit. All right.
Right. But I would say it to my wife later on. Maybe I'm not, not for sure. But I'm just saying, like, it's easy to look at them like, oh, look how terrible they are. Then you realize, like, oh shit, I might do the same exact thing or think the same way. We're a lot of us, luckily, are more in the States, we're closer to the rich family situation than the poor ones, hopefully. And it just makes you, it opens up your eyes to things, which is what a good film should do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Link, my brother, your thoughts on the rest, or you already touched on. I'm sorry. Did you have anything more to say on that?
I liked how dark it got when she shows up. There's a director's actually really good at foreshadowing too, because earlier in the film, the dad was talking about how the old housekeeper she ate a lot. She would eat enough for two.
Oh, dude, good call.
I'm just now getting it, bro.
I totally
got it. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, great call, man.
And the kid's attachment to the rock ended up being his downfall. Because it's like the housekeeper, she went there and she cuts the security camera, and because she's told her, she said, I knew they were gone for camping, so I decided to come here so there'll be no issue. And then when she's like going downstairs, she like stops and she's like, did you want to come downstairs with me? And it was very sinister. I almost
it was weird.
Right. It's like, what the fuck's gonna happen in that basement?
Yeah. That's it got really dark. Really
Bro,
dark.
Can we talk about how everybody in this movie also had a metal skull? Like Homeboy survived 2 rock bashes to the cranium. She survived that flip down the steps when she slammed up against the concrete wall.
No, she ended up dying from that.
Oh, that's
Eventually,
true. Yeah, she did. She
eventually.
did. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Which that was one thing I really appreciated about it, because when she falls, you're like, oh shit,
yeah.
this is what's, this is what this movie is kind of. It reminded me of you guys remember the film Very Bad Things?
Christian Slater. Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
remember that? Anyway, it reminded me of that moment. We're like, I'm like, oh, we're gonna have to fucking do something with this dead body now. But the
Yeah.
way he comes up and he puts his hand under her nose and he sees, oh, she's breathing, and he's like, oh, thank God. So, and they just kind of leave it at that. You're like, oh, she must be good, and you kind of forget about it, because in most movies, she would be good. She was breathing. You don't have to worry about it anymore. The fact she ends up dying and what that ends up causing later is fucking just really, really cool, man. God, damn, I want to say, how weird is it, the whole, not just weird, but the sex scene from this like non-sexual seeming partner or couple, and what it leads to, where we've got this family under the counter. First of all, it's the father and a son. No,
And his daughter.
mother and a father with their daughter having to listen to people having sex and talking dirty. But then the whole bit where he's talking about how he smells him, and it's this dude's shame. And obviously, we know where that leads. But it's just a powerful moment, and just such great acting from that
Yeah.
dude. Who's the
I
guy?
love how
He's the guy in Snowpiercer that is hooked on drugs, that's opening up the door.
He's
And
in
the
the
dad,
host.
right?
He's the dad in the host too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I love how when he's talking shit about how he smells, like they do that shot of him, like he's got his
Yes.
he can't look at his family. He's in such shame. He has nowhere to go. Like that's his way of his safe space.
Right.
Yeah, that shit hurt.
Right.
Yeah, I thought his ability to show emotion without like saying a word, like I thought to me I love that conversation he had with the dad in the bushes when they're dressed up as Indians for the kid's birthday party,
Mhm.
and you see how he's just like completely like at it, like he's about to pop, and like I just love that progression. Yeah, but like Link said, man, I love that scene. Later when things resume to normal, he's at the grocery store, and I think he's driving the wife home or something like that, and he smells his shirt, like it's in his head from there on, and it's just like,
Totally.
man, yeah.
He was kind of getting it from everybody. Like even before the shit popped off, like right before the maid showed up, and they're having dinner. The mom was joking, but she started explaining that the dad's like a cockroach, and shit. And the dad swipes the shit off the table and he grabs the mom and he plays it off. But I feel like there was
I completely agree.
Totally.
Yes.
It's one of those things at the time you're like, oh, maybe it's just he was just joking. But then when you see where the movie goes, you're like, no, he's been building up some shit inside for
And
a
it's
long
just
time.
like the little things, man. I love how and he did this, Bong Joon-ho did this in The Host too, but like how he had the trophy case, right? And like he was successful in something like track and field or some type of sport back in his youth. You could see like he wanted to save he kind of half wanted to save those things when he went back to the flooded apartment. But like I just love how all those things attributed to like, it's not the straw that broke the camel's back, it's the million other straws underneath it. Like it's just like how he's had a lifetime. And I think what Link said was great. That's such an interesting lens and look into their marriage, and it makes you think like she has really just been picking and gnawing and like clawing at him whenever she gets the chance. And I'm sure that combined with like his failures as a dad is just drove him to that point.
To add on to that with the mom and how she was like berating him, it's like they show she did this swinging shit, whatever for the
What is
Olympics.
that called?
She got a medal for that. It's almost like insinuating that he, because of how she talks to him and how she kind of clings to her glory days like that, like maybe it's been a reoccurring thing in their marriage throughout the years where she's like, I could have done something great had I not.
Right.
Yeah.
That,
Absolutely.
like I would have gone on to be successful. And, he's just, a man can only take so much of being told he's not shit, before he does something about it. So.
Hell yeah, dude. Well said, brother. Well said. And I must say, respect all day, brother. All day. Dude, it's something fucking interesting that I don't even know if I should get into, because it was just me misinterpreting something, but it still ended up being interesting. That rock, when it gets gifted to him, I guess what part of the point of it is that we don't fully culturally understand here is it's way too expensive. It's a strange thing to do, evidently, for them to be given this gift, and it's a very expensive rock. So it's this symbol. It's supposed to be this symbol of something that they can't really achieve and that they don't have, right? Yeah. When I saw the thing, for those that haven't seen it, it's this big fucking rock, and it's in this like wooden stand, I guess, right? I thought it was a boat. I thought it was supposed to be this boat with this big fucking rock that it could never actually float with. And to me, that fit perfectly. He's like, it's so metaphorical. I'm like, you're goddamn right it is. That fits perfectly. I thought it was so interesting. And then I realized on a second watch, I'm like, is that, I don't even think that's a boat. But like, anyway, I just thought what's cool about it is like the power of symbolism. And it's like, it can put, you know what I mean? You can make things fit. I don't know if you guys know Strawberry Fields by the Beatles. There's a line, living is easy with eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see. And John Lennon said, some famous rocker back in the day told him he always thought it was living is easy with nice clothes, misunderstanding all you see, and how fucking well they both work. Living it, you know what I mean? It might be a little bit easier with nice clothes. You don't know, it symbolizes a lot, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting how you could make things fit in your mind, and it worked perfectly either
No,
way,
yeah,
even though I
yeah.
wasn't right about what it was.
One
But
of my
Yeah,
favorite scenes of symbolism, or I guess the one of the earliest I can recall, is you guys ever read Great Gatsby or seen the movie or
of course.
yeah,
the book? You know, Gatsby is like showing this girl all these suits he has because, like, you know, to symbolize like I've got it now. I status, like, you know, I'm not this poor dude you thought it was. And you know, they don't really explain it explicitly in the book, but you know, when you read it, um, it's really powerful. But the rock thing is interesting just because it's like, you know, when you get to a certain point, when you got so much money, you're gonna buy stupid shit. You know, who
right,
in the right
right.
would you spent how much money on that rock? Why? Like, how is that
Yeah.
gonna benefit you?
I like how the mom was like, "You could have brought some food."
Yeah, yeah.
That's thinking. I was with the mom on that one. I'm like, yo, bro, we'll go flip this rock real quick. We'll get some
Yeah.
food.
Totally. That's what I was thinking. Why not flip the rock? The other thing is like how much time do you guys feel passed between them getting those jobs and the flood? I'm like, get the fuck out of there. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Maybe that's harder than I think it is, or whatever. But they didn't seem to be using any of the money that they'd been getting from this
Right.
job at all. Not yet, at least.
You
How
know,
long do you guys think it had been?
I want to say like maybe 4 months, like around there
Yeah, something
minimum.
like
Right.
that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Not no more than that. But yeah, right around
yeah,
there.
But if you all went from unemployed to employed, you know, and gainfully employed at that, you think you would be stacking
but a
chips and
lot of
moving
times
on.
Yeah, all
you
four of
like,
you.
there's situations where it's like people will be down on their luck. They finally get a leg up. Like when my situation changes, I'm gonna change, and you start getting complacent and content with, you know, oh, this is good. I keep having stuff coming every week, so you're not really setting stuff aside, doing what you're supposed to do. So when the rug's pulled out from under you, you're kind of like, what the fuck?
Right.
And that I meant to say this earlier. Like that was a great scene when they're running home because it, you know, they were living the high life, having that dinner,
Yeah.
and they go home and it's like it was a realization like shit, like, you know, this is an illusion, you know, this
Right. Right.
you know, it feels good at the time, but we got to keep coming back home to this every day, you know. And then they keep get home and it's their home's fucking ruined, like, you know, they don't have shit to begin with. So I, you know, that's a very devastating thing to like your safe space, your nest, you know, you don't even have that, you know. um but no, yeah, that fucked
What
me
up,
up.
Rogue?
What up, bro? Salute you,
Totally,
bro.
dude. And just like maybe they didn't buy a place just because of like the mentality of the family, and especially the dad don't make a plan. Things are gonna go to shit. Maybe they're like, well, let's not go get an apartment just yet because this probably
Right.
isn't gonna last. Things seem to not last. But that's kind of part of where I want to go from here is we've touched on it, obviously. These three different families: the poor family, the rich family, and the basement family. But like the dad saying that, don't make a plan. Plans are going to go to shit. He's lost his confidence. Clearly, it's, you know, his situation, his circumstances in life has given him that mentality, but that mentality is poisonous. And it's like
Yes.
I wrote down in my notes, like, is this the reason why they're in the situation that they are? If he was a stronger leader, there's so
Mm,
many things that could have helped pull them out of poverty, at least from my American perspective, where it maybe
Hmm.
is easier for people to pull themselves out of poverty. And you're not supposed to say fucking the bootstrap thing, but I don't fucking care. I believe in that a little bit. You know, the
Is the home
little fucking bootstrap, it will get you somewhere, at least in the States.
is that canceled?
You know, yeah, you
Sorry.
know,
Yeah.
if you
no.
say bootstrap, you're a fucking Trumper, you're a racist. But Morgan Freeman said it, so Fuck
No,
that.
yeah.
Morgan Freeman, bro. Get over it. It just says, didn't they seem happy though, considering their effed up circumstances versus the rich family who didn't? That's true. When they were in that,
Very true, Angel. Yeah.
or just overall, yeah. I think she's just talking about like over, and it's probably because they were together. At least they were united as a family, and the other ones, even though they were rich, they were all living in their own worlds. Dad's at work all day. Our family, or the poor family, they're folding pizza boxes together, fucking
Yep.
sucking down fumigation sauce.
Standing in the little corner space of the toilet to get internet service and shit, you know?
Right.
Like,
Which there's something to that. Like a lot of times, like lower income families, they not always, obviously, they do tend to be closer families. You've got
yeah.
more family members living in your house, and there is something like super fucking appealing to me to that as someone that doesn't, I don't have a lot of close family and everything. You know what I mean? You see 10 people living in a house, it kind of sucks, but at the same time, they have something that a lot of people don't because of that.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
For sure. Who do you guys think, instead of like picking apart each family, let's do this. Stu, who do you think is the most morally bankrupt, and who do you think is the most noble of
Oh,
all
Lord.
these characters? The basement family, the rich family, and the poor family. And chat too. I really want to know what you guys think.
And who's the worst and who's the best?
Yeah, kind of
Okay.
just like morally. Who could you get behind and be like, okay, I would have done what they would have done, or they were in the right here, outside of the fucking guy that gave him the rock.
My heart kind of went out to the son and the Kim son. What's his name? Kevin or Kiyu. Especially after he got messed up and came back. Like the whole bit where he couldn't help laughing. He couldn't stop from laughing after the brain surgery or whatever.
That was weird.
It was weird, but I like that. Man, this is a tough call, bro. Who was the most morally bankrupt? I don't know. I don't know. I'm definitely empathizing with the Kims more than the Parks. I would say as a whole, from just from my day-to-day struggle and my background and things I've come up.
Plus,
the
filmmakers making us sympathize with them more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll go morally bankrupt. I think is the housekeeper's husband. That bro was just completely unhinged.
Really?
Like,
Though?
yeah, I just don't.
What?
The whole Mr. Park worship was weird. Like,
he killed some people.
And like, and I know, and I'm not saying that like he didn't have a reason to be pissed, but like,
right?
I don't know. He did set off the whole chain of violence, and regardless of like how he felt wronged, he did kill some innocent people in the process. So I'll go with him.
This is why this movie is so brilliant. Is how hard.
Let me ask this question: who the first innocent person first, though?
I think you could make an argument that the mom on the poor
family,
so first of all, just see the way she
mom is number two. Yeah, bro.
Not cool. Not cool. I love that. That's one of the funniest moments. If I was rich, I would be nice. I would be nicer than her. The dog comes up, she get the fuck away from me. It's like, are you sure? Yeah. She was great. And she is the one. She is the first one to do a violent act. She pushes the OG maid down the stairs and kills her.
Yep.
And she's the one when they explain the situation, when the basement family says, this is our situation, we're just like you, we're fucking basement people. She's like, well, I'm calling the fucking cops. You guys gotta get out of my house.
Yeah.
But she's pretty morally bankrupt. But
yeah, that was whack. When she was like, I'm not needy. It's like, girl, come on.
What's cool is everyone's like somewhat likable and unlikable. Obviously, the poor family more likable than the rich family, but they're all fun to watch. Like the mom from the rich family, she's cool and she's nice. She's not doing anything overly wrong. She's just a little fucking stupid and rich. So it's like, I don't know. But Link, what do you think? Same question.
I definitely sympathize. I feel like the film intentionally did this, though. I feel like the son is supposed, if you had to have one main character, I feel like the son is the focal point.
Totally.
I would have done what he did. He was capable of the job. He just didn't have the right credentials. His friend put him on because he was smart enough for it.
And then he steals his girl right away. What a dick. You know what I mean? Like there's constantly, he never writes it so anyone's not being bad, like immoral all the time.
The girl wasn't feeling it though. Clearly, she was
True.
into Kevin. You know what threw me off a few times in this film was when they would use American dialogue. Like, is that okay with you? And I was like, what? They did it like a handful of times, and I get it that they don't have a word for some of those words, so
Right.
they implemented
Well, I mean,
our language.
I was thinking that too. She at one point she's like, speaking Korean, and then she's like, you know what I'm saying? And it
Yes.
could be, damn it, did the accent a little bit again. Okay. I'm trying. Uh, but sometimes we'll be like sayonara, adios. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? There's certain things that we
Yeah.
do use from other languages, and I kind of think it's like, and I bet it's more common because of the Hollywood that
Yeah. Oh
people
yeah. Yeah.
grab our phrases a lot. Fuck you. They're probably saying that all over the planet. Why not? So
I
fun.
felt see the son though I felt like he wasn't in the wrong too much, like he was like he put on his sister, but I feel like the sister was the worst character, or the mom. The sister had no sympathy or
None.
empathy. She was almost narcissistic. She would lie,
Totally.
say what the fuck you needed to hear in order to get the job done. Like
But
she
that's
when she
probably why the brother's saying you fit in here. That's why she
yeah
fits in
she
the
did.
rich family.
Because when he got there, he was a little nervous when he was talking to the mom. She comes in, she's demanding, she's telling Dong Sung, or I'm not fucking up his name, the young son to go up to his room and shit, all calm and stern, telling her to come have a seat. And then you find out she Googled this shit. She just Googled this shit and was
Yeah.
just like and everything else. I'm like, wow.
So good. So
Yeah.
good.
I love the ghost
Um,
story. Like the ghost story, and she's like, "Did anything happen when he was in first grade?" And the mom's like,
Yeah.
like, I was
And
like, "Damn, the
bro,
homegirl's a
like,
natural." Like, and then
yeah.
she's like, "And I'm gonna have a very high rate of pay. Is that okay?" And the mom's like, "Yeah, whatever the fuck you need." Like, I was like, "Damn, she's good."
the brother didn't fuck anyone over in order to get his sister in. The sister set up the driver to get the dad in. And it's like a nasty chain of events started from them. But all the brother did was like, I know a person, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
She even stole that peach that they used. You notice
Right.
that? She just like casually walks out and steals the peach. I was thinking that too. She's kind of the most morally bankrupt. She's the one that, like, even her like taking her underwear off and like she's so conniving and
Yeah,
manipulative.
Yes.
I
And then
left
like
that set a
something
little
like
trap.
there's something a little more dark about that
Yeah.
than the other ways of infiltrating the family. There's something a little bit more sinister. But I will say, because we've been saying the poor son, Kevin, I agree, he's kind of the main character, and he does seem he's the most likable. I'm pretty sure he's the one that he peaches the OG maid,
Yeah.
fucking flares up her very, very serious allergy thing.
Yo,
So everybody is
Yeah, I
acting
love
she
in
that.
super shady ways.
she was rubbing the peach dead in the
Dude,
face.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. When they were going at it and like right before the family came home, and she went into the fridge and grabbed the whole bag, I was like, "Oh, she's gonna kill her ass." She
Yeah,
was
she was
rubbing the peaches all over. I was like, it was great.
but I would say the next, if I had probably the dad, the rich dad was probably the morally. He just, you could tell he looked down on everybody. Even when he was referring to his wife, he was like, "You could say I love her," and kind of chuckled about it. Like
Right.
everything was an asset to him, or property.
Totally. She's
Um,
arm candy, arm trophy. Trophy what? There you go.
yeah, yes. And not to fast forward to it, but we'll get there. But even towards the end, it was kind of like the straw that broke the dad, was just reinforcing like this dude only gives a shit about himself, and that was
Right.
like very evident throughout the entire film. He's worried about him, how he feels, how the driver smells to him. Even when they're on the couch, she's kind of like, yeah, he might say, he's like, don't worry about it, this is what I want to do right now, so just go with it, like
Right.
it's all about him. So he was a dickhead.
Again, been there. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of the
That
things he does. Yeah, she's been like, I'm not right now. It's like, oh, come on, I can move my hand. It'll be fine. But what's interesting is it's kind of the same. It's like the opposite of the way that we would look at the poor families. Like it's so like relevant to all of our social situations. Some of the social shit going on in the country now, our country, is just like, well, look at the poor family situation. That's why they did that.
Mhm.
But look at the rich guy's situation. I'm not saying it's right, but him being able to afford a driver, being drove around, how fucking long can you do that? How long can I do that before I start acting like him? You know what I mean?
Right.
Remember when we talk about that Monopoly shit where
Yeah.
people playing rigged Monopoly games, when they're told that the game is rigged and they know it and they start winning, they still get cocky. It's like such human nature to be like, oh, they've elevated me. Society has now elevated me. I'm fucking better. And that is what it is. It's like, I'm better than you. And he keeps on saying, don't cross the line. He's a good guy, but until he's going to cross the line, which is pretty much him saying, I'm above you. I
Mhm.
can act a certain way and you have to act a certain way because I'm above you. And that's, don't cross that line. That smell is crossing the line. That was a good fucking line, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who I think is the worst. I guess we said, I think the sister and the mom were the two that were sticking out to me, which is funny. Like I think the most morally bankrupt people are the poor family, which is fucked up. They're our perspective. They're the ones we're made to feel for. But if you look at their actions, the other family, I assume they weren't given that. Even if they were, they didn't do anything wrong by being rich. It's not that fucking wrong to think someone
They,
smells, to be
they
kind of
were kind of
snooty.
they were ignorant, you know. And the unfortunate that does suck, but it's like people sometimes you can't hold them accountable for being ignorant because they're just not aware
Right.
of certain things. It takes certain people a while to catch up and realize certain things. But the poor family was aware of, what's good and what's morally, correct, what's morally incorrect, and they still kind of, went about things in a shitty way.
Right.
So
Right. It's interesting. This is what makes the movie so fucking good, because the people that you really feel for and care for and fucking kind of love, at the same time you're like, ooh, what I do, what they're doing. But at the same time, you kind of understand what they're doing. But speaking of people being immoral, the way this shit goes down, we've touched on it a little bit. There's a birthday party at the end. More or less, as we've said, there's a situation set up where it's like, okay, the rich dad and the poor dad, we're going to pretend to be Indians, is what they're calling, which is also a loaded fucking thing. The rich family is like obsessed with America. Oh, that tent, we got it from America. It's not going to leak. I'm like, lady, we don't make shit in America. It's probably fucking made in Taiwan, and it's probably going to leak, whether it was made here or Taiwan. But that's just the whole. I don't know if you guys understand more why they're
No,
dressed
that's
like
all I could
Native
think about
American.
in that scene. I was like, man, it's pouring down rain. How is that kid still dry? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and
Like, there's
he
no
put
way.
it up in the rain, like just like, yeah, that's not how you do that, bro.
That was
But
bugging me.
anyway, what ends up going down? They're like, okay, we are gonna pretend to attack Jessica. We're gonna pretend to attack this person. My son's gonna come out and save the day. What ends up going on is the basement guy, his wife. We're never told this. We're never shown it. Just his actions tell us, oh, she must have died. So he comes up, he's all fucking crazy. Basement guy just starts stabbing people. He stabs Jessica, the daughter of the poor family, kills her. We find out. The dad gets up, he's trying to apply pressure, and they end up fucking stabbing and wounding and killing the guy, this guy right here. Respect! They fucking kill this guy, and the rich dad has to get the keys. Where are the keys? They're under the poor basement guy. And when he goes up to get the keys, he has to hold his fucking nose to do it, even in that situation. When the poor dad sees this, it fucking makes him snap. He grabs a knife and he fucking kills
Yeah, he
the
did.
rich dad. It's
He turned
crazy.
it. He turned and ran too.
Like
Like,
this, yeah. Yeah, so dainty, yeah. There is something about fucking that with some keys. But
bro was like, "Nah, you're getting this cold steel, bro. I'm sorry."
you first of all, you don't see it coming. Second, he is the most likable character to me out of everybody in the movie. There's something really likable about it, outside of him giving his whole speech about giving up hope and nobody should have hope. I really love that actor. He does a great job. So
He's
it's just
so
like, oh my
good.
God,
He
like
really
our
is.
favorite person just killed this guy in front of everyone. He's fucked. He goes down, he hides in the basement, blah, 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 yada, yada. We'll touch on the end at the end. But Stu, my brother, what did you think of The Massacre?
Yeah, it was wild, man. Like I said, that's the barbarian part of the movie. The horrors from the depths of the house come up to greet both families, but yeah, man, it's brutal. I would say you don't. It's not completely unexpected. You see it kind of boiling up. I feel like you knew the dad was going to snap in some kind of manner. I thought that was a great way for it to kind of happen. But yeah, man, it was crazy, and it's you're kind of waiting for this violence and this. You get some of it with the housekeeper, but you're waiting for murder and death and mayhem, and the way it comes at you is just wild. It's
Yeah.
all of a sudden, and it's like, you don't know who you're rooting for. Like you said, I I like the tangle between the wife and this guy, with her sticking the
That was a
skewer in his
cockroach
side.
almost because
Yeah,
the husband's up, the wife busts out the fucking crowd, charges right at the guy.
Mm-mm.
Froze a little bit.
he did, and he just like he froze and tossed the dude his keys. Like he did what he would probably hate that, or he probably
Right.
hated that in retrospect, looking back at it. But yeah, man, I thought it was such a great crescendo and climax to everything that had been boiling up. I thought it still caught you off guard. There was so much of it you weren't ready for, and it was shocking. And you dealing with everything in the aftermath of that is wild.
Right. And it all taking place in the daylight too. There's something about that.
Absolutely.
It's at this impromptu party in front of all these
Man, you could write a
beautiful.
couple thesis, like thesis statements, or senior projects on the symbology and like the dark and light, the vertical high ground versus like the moral low ground, like all the things they do with like camera angles and up and down in this.
Mhm.
It's like, I just think it's so masterful. That's what I love about it. It's one of those movies you can. In just a second, I was thinking this on my rewatch today. I was like, man, I could watch this. Honestly, I should have watched this 3 or 4 more times for this show, because there's just, I feel like, so much you can glean out of it, and
So it's
so many things to say.
so
It
watchable.
is.
It's so for as deep as it is, and it's fucking balls deep. It's lighthearted for the most part.
It
It's a
is.
fun, easygoing watch with these really deep themes that lead to a really dark, tragic ending. And it's just like I
Yeah.
don't know. It
No,
makes you feel everything I want to feel from a movie.
Yeah, I challenge
it-
anybody who hasn't watched this, like, go out and just put on the first 15 minutes. You will be caught in the current of this movie before you know it. And
Totally.
and just to I should get the guy's name right, but that main actor who played
the dead.
the dad, Kim's dad, like, from the host to this, I love his aloofness and his
Mm.
humanity. I feel like
Yeah.
those are two of his strongest um like characteristics as an actor, and you just feel like he just feels like such a real person in
Yeah.
whatever role he plays, like totally imperfect and flawed. And I just love how that he always conveys that on screen. So
One of my
Speaking
favorite.
of
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Blake, please.
no, I was gonna say you're talking about symbolism. Speaking of symbolism, it's like the basement husband had been living almost in shame for 4 years, right? His wife dies. She tells him one name. He walks the stairs into the daylight. It's almost like he's ascending to get his honor and
Mhm.
respect, but he doesn't really do that. He kills the daughter. He's supposed to kill the wife, and the wife kills him. She's the one who jabs him in the side. So that was a cool little scene because it's like he
Right.
almost got honor. I mean, I guess in a way he did, but the one you were supposed to take out was the one who took out you. He stabbed like 3 different people and still got taken out, but the wife killed both of them
That's a
essentially.
good point. Yeah, I didn't think of it like that.
yeah. And how
Yeah.
that basement is like, it's like both of those husbands are like serving time, it's like
Right.
Yes.
it's almost like a purgatory for both of
Mm.
them, like the guy from the loan shark, and then this dad after the violence and the murder and stuff like that. I just thought that was so fascinating, and like you said, especially with it showing up at the end, it just leaves you with so much to think on and chew on as this movie concludes.
It was,
It's such
it's
a great
wild how
ending.
quickly this all kind of happens very quick. There's
Yeah.
really no lead into it. They wake up, they're like, come to this birthday party. They get there, the wife's talking to the daughter real quick. All of a sudden, oh, I love that scene where the son. Okay, I've meant to ask you this, guys. Do you guys think that I have pieced it together, but do you think there was some symbolism in the sun? Because I think it was implied like the sun was going
Could you say symbology instead? It just sounds really smart
symbolism,
when Stu says it. All right, fine. No, I'm just
but
joking.
the sun goes there because I'm assuming that because he's telling his dad the night before, I'm going to take care of it. He's clutching the rock. I'm assuming he's going there to finish off the basement couple.
Mm.
They're hanging because they're asking like, what are we going to do? What's the plan now? The night before. And so he's like, I'm going to take care of this. I guess he's the catalyst since he invited the sister, and he's the catalyst for why they're all there. So I guess
Right.
responsible and was like, I guess I'll go handle this. And that like that was a terrifying scene when the husband starts chasing him. He like he puts the noose around his neck or whatever, the wire.
Oh man, bro.
So cool.
Oh, dude, it's not done yet. And then he gets free somehow. He's about to smash him in the head. He gets free, starts running up the stairs. You think the son's almost made it. He runs out the cellar, and you just see him get yanked by the neck, and he just drops. And that's probably my favorite scene, the anxiety that scene induced. And then, it was savage on top of that because he hits him hit with the rock. And like Stu said earlier, he's laying on the ground. Bam! He hits him with the rock again. I thought that dude was dead.
I thought for sure he was dead.
I thought he was dead on dead. I was like,
yeah. I'm not 100%.
Killed him a third time.
I'm not 1,000,000% convinced that he's not dead. I mean, I don't think he is, but the way I'm just looking at my baby out there. She's been watching Toy Story 4 this whole time, and it's probably about to wrap up. So we should wrap this up. Yeah. She's gonna get pissed. She's on camera and she's fine.
She's gonna come out of the basement.
Don't judge me, people. This is the only beer I've had, so fuck off. But what was I gonna say? Oh, how do you guys think it ends? Because the way it ends, the dad's stuck down in the basement, and basically we find out the daughter's definitely dead. The son somehow survives. The mom, they only get probation. They're together, and they give us this picture of a possible happy ending where he's like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy this house. And one day we're going to go to the house, and all you have to do is walk upstairs. And we see that. They show us that vision, and then they cut away, and they show him still sitting in the sub basement with that fucking bunk ass haircut. And you're like, no, he's still poor as shit. So I saw somewhere, I don't know if this was in the movie, but I read somewhere or saw somewhere that it's implied like he would have to work for like 570 fucking years or something in order to afford that house. So it's just like in that culture, it's just impossible. He's never going to own that fucking house. It's a fantasy. The dad's going to die down there or something.
Yeah. But I mean, to the point of like his dad had kind of given up on life and had no drive. Like this was maybe establishing that he was going to be the antithesis to his father, where he had a drive and a goal. When you have that goes a long way. When you lose your drive and your motivation, like you just kind of, it's easy to be like the poor husband.
Mm-hmm.
But the son was still young. The life hadn't beaten him down yet. So it's like if he as long as he instilled that in himself, like, no, I've got to work. I got to get up today because my dad's still down there. Like, I don't think it's impossible. Like he was an intelligent dude. Like, he just didn't have a piece of paper for credentials.
Right. Exactly. And we know that there's some go-getters, and maybe they can, do some more fraudulent shit.
Oh yeah. Definitely go-getters, bro. That was, come on now. Yeah. So watching them enact shit like that is kind of like, man, I feel like I could do something like that, get a real quick and get in, get out.
Stu, if you want to expand, if you have anything else that you want to add, and then let's rate this thing.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. I love that scene. I love like him putting the rock in the water, like, and like how that was like him bringing it back home and that whole dream sequence. We don't show this home to just anybody, and dude, that was brutal. Like that moment when he was in the backyard and the dad walked up out of the basement and he's like, all you got to do is come up the stairs, and they hugged. I was like, shit, man, this is a fucking movie. And then they pan down from that, and it's that darkness of the basement. He's like, until that day. It was like, yo, like I just thought that was such a great ending.
I love how it's so pure black. It's like perfectly lit until you walk right across the threshold, then it's black and you're gone. The symbology is out of control.
It really is. And it's like you speak about, we've talked about the sunlight. You still get it there in that last scene. I think it's setting, but yeah, man, it's just I just love the way it's coming through the house and the dad's walking across it, and it was just such a fantastic ending. Really, really stuck the landing. This one is without a doubt a 5 out of 5 for me. A perfect film. I think one of the best, honestly, in the past few decades. I think this guy is, a generational talent. I think he's one of the best doing it. Not only, like I said earlier, not only directing, but Fable, what up, bro? Not only directing, but writing, man. It's just so well written and paced, and I think, obviously this is a theme of his that he likes to visit in nearly all of his works, and I think it's so well it's such a tale well spun here, and I love Snowpiercer. To me, that's still one of my favorites. But I love all the like for as blatant and in your face as Snowpiercer is with the class warfare and all that. I love all the
Mhm.
subtle things this movie does with it.
Yeah. It's
And I love
there's such a great 1-2 punch. It's such a good double feature. They're so different, but thematically they tie together so well.
absolutely.
That movie is fucking I feel like I maybe saw it when it came out, but you guys had brought it up semi recently. And I watched it, and it's probably like one of my favorite like
It's
movies that
so
I've
good,
seen in
dude.
some years. Like it's so
Fuck
fucking
yes.
amazing, and it gets
It really
dark.
is.
It goes
It does.
places where you don't expect it to go, and it sets you up where you think it's one movie, much like this one, and it
Mhm.
goes places that you don't think that movie is going to go. Oh, we're eating babies now. The fuck, Captain America, brush your
Yep.
teeth. You got baby on your breath. This is disgusting. But sorry, Stu.
No, it really does. It feels like that, man. Car to car, it just gets darker and darker, and you're like, man, what is the truth here? But yeah, I think once again he leans on a lot of his regular cast, and I think they deliver, obviously top notch award winning performances. But this one is damn near flawless when it comes to
Yeah.
films for me. And this one, such a joy to revisit. I could watch it. I watched it today. I could watch it tomorrow.
Mhm.
Still just be engrossed and ready to talk about it again tomorrow night. Honestly, it's that good. So
Hell
yeah,
man.
a joy to revisit this one with y'all.
Hell yeah, man. Well said, brother. Respect. Link, my brother. What about you, man? How did you do it without the Asian accent? I gotta
Right?
I gotta
You
work
trained
on
us.
that.
You trained us. You conditioned us like dogs. Man.
With the ending, I want to say towards the ending in particular that I feel like it was a realistic ending with what they had established tonality with the the tonality of the film.
Mhm.
But it left a little. It was like the Inception thing. It left a little glimmer of hope. Like yes, the
Yeah.
son may be able to reach and obtain this. Realistically, probably not. He's gonna have to go through a lot to obtain this, so it might not pan out that way. Just like Inception, you're like, did it fall? Did it keep spinning? Like
Right.
maybe he gets to up and see his kids. It fits within the framework of what the film is set up. Like
You can believe whatever you want to believe.
yes, because had that been the final ending where he getting his father, it's almost like you guys didn't earn that. You were kind of
Mhm.
shitty people to have that picture perfect happy ending.
Right. Should the dad be freed and reunited? I think he needs to serve
He's in
some time. He
purgatory.
fucking killed a
Yeah.
man in
Yeah,
front of his son, in
bro.
front of his family. Like it's like
For
very
essentially
dark.
just talking shit about him. Like he really had no reason to kill this man.
Right.
It's like even when he was talking shit about him, it was never in front of his face. It's shit he happened to hear because he was doing shit he wasn't supposed to, like being in their house when he wasn't
Right.
supposed to. Even the rich dad was in his home. He can say whatever the fuck he wants in his home
Right.
especially when he's home alone. So it was really on the poor dad for all that shit that fell on his shoulders in a sense. But with that being said, of course, today I was like, man, I've been trying not to give films 5, but this is a 5, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is a 5 all day. I hadn't seen this in about 3 years. I think I watched it back in like 2021, 2020. But I was just like Stu said, anytime you watch this, you'll be invested and engrossed. Like I was shocked by how I was watching this film like it was my first watch. And I've watched this a handful of times now, but it's that good, It's just a great film. It's a great look at the subtleties of human behavior in terms of classism and our parasitic nature to each other.
Mhm.
I think it's just, it's a filmmaker who's at the prime of his game. Like I said, he's studied these themes in other films, but this film right here, I love Snowpiercer, but as aesthetically, the thematically, just acting, the music, man, it's not saying
Mhm.
much, but
Yeah, we
the
didn't even talk about that.
song where
Very
it
classic.
reminds me of Fantasy 7, and I loved that. And I know in that Japan and South Korea are different, but the fact that I was thinking of Final Fantasy, I was like, yo, this music is dope. So I give it that much credit. But it's just a phenomenal film from a phenomenal filmmaker in the prime of his game.
100%, man. Well said to you, my brother. Well said indeed. I gotta give it a 5. I mean, to me, it's I try to save my 5s too, but we're talking about one of the
This whole
most
thing has made me realize I'm a slut with the 5s. I need to slow down with the 5s.
bro. It's a fucking. I mean, it won the best picture.
Yeah.
It's a 5.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
It
not
definitely
saying,
is. I'm just like, man, I've given a lot of 5s out lately. Like
Same.
in
Yeah,
contest,
I
you
give
gotta
the
chill
five
out.
and the other 5s I'm
Because this is
giving. 'Cause
definitely a
this,
5. Some of the
uh,
other 5s I'm getting out, like, yeah,
well,
all right.
when you start honestly, when you start comparing them to this, but that's part of the thing.
Yeah,
This
facts.
is less of a horror movie, and I obviously love horror, but it is there's more. I don't know. It's like you're more likely to get a 5 when you're talking about a movie like this than a horror movie. You know what I
Very
mean?
true.
It's like a
Very true.
different scale. You're grading on a curve. That's like I say, when you look at IMDb and I see like a 7.5 for a horror movie, I'm like, oh my God, that's a masterpiece. But like I think this has an 8.5 or something like that. There's a scale. There you're grading on a curve when it comes to horror for sure. So I'm right there with you guys. 5 out of 5 for me. Two Gun Pedro, he agrees. 5 out of 5 for
Let's
Pedro,
go.
for Stu, for Missing Link, my baby who just looks like she wrapped up Toy Story 4, but she's got that outro. You know how Toy Story's got them great fucking outros. So we might have a couple more minutes. But I didn't make a slideshow to promote everything, but let me just say once again, funny games. I watched the first hour of it. I think you guys have both seen it.
Is this
I
the
watched
original?
yeah, the
Yeah.
original. I watched the first hour of it
Oh, good.
right before we started doing this. Fucking awesome. It had me
Oh
like
my God.
so like stressed out. I don't even know
It
where this
is.
movie's gonna go, but I know it's not gonna go anywhere. It's not gonna be
No,
pleasant. It's
it's
gonna be
not.
stressful. Such a brilliantly well crafted fucking movie that I can't wait to talk about on Sunday with my buddy Wes Talk Movies and Dream Home from 2010. So again, the only way to view that I've been able to find without pirating, I don't even know what the context is, but I had just saw this comment. I'm just gonna show that completely random. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. I'll just
Sorry,
leave it at
bro.
that.
We're here for you. We love you, bro.
but yeah, Dream Home 2010. It's on YouTube. It's a Hong Kong slasher.
Oh,
I don't know who made
yeah,
it, but
okay.
I've
Yeah,
been
I was
kind of
about to.
looking into just like why don't we talked about it before? It's like, does China make films? And it's like, oh yeah, they do. There was like all these different eras. Like there's this the Hong Kong era. Basically, what I learned, you're probably gonna hear me say this again on Sunday. In China, you can't make horror movies via the government. You can't make horror movies that like if you have a supernatural thing, you got to Scooby Doo it at the end. You got to take the mask off and be like, it was fucking Joe Blow all along. So that's why like pretty much one of the only things you get out of China right now are slashers. Like their slasher game is strong because of that. So I can't wait to check this out. Just from the images that I've seen, it looks crazy. But like I said, it's not the easiest movie to access right now, but it is on YouTube. So Funny Games 1997, Dream Home 2010, Sunday at 5 Central Standard Time. Hell yeah. So Stu, Link, my brother, great fucking show last night,
Yeah,
my
man.
dudes. Great show.
Thank
I love the shit out of it. Go check it out at Dr. Doom's Fan Club, Supreme Clientele. Tell the people about your show, gentle people.
Absolutely. Every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, me and Link breaking down comic books, new and old. Last night we had our boy Spillio on, man. Such a great show. His energy and
Yeah.
enthusiasm was so contagious, dude. I just got off that show and just felt better about life in general, man. It was amazing. So we broke down Frankencastle last night, the Rick Remender, Tony Moore classic, and did a couple new issues, The Ultimates and Space Ghost. But yeah, we're getting back to it again next Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. on the Dr. Dooms Fan Club. Y'all check us out. And of course, tomorrow night, Friday, 9 p.m., it's the slight return of Blaine Fable and his amazing friends. I'm going to be hosting. My boy Nick's coming through. Eric. We're going to be doing our regularly scheduled Blaine Fable show and also showing off some treats from the Heroes Con. So
Evidently, you haven't been paying attention to Fable's promotion leading up to this. It's a mystery. We don't know who's hosting. Shut up. I'm just joking. Although I did see you in the picture here, and Nick
I just don't want to let people know when they.
there's a
Yeah,
mystery
whether
hosting
it's Stu, I'm fucking out of here. You know what I mean?
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here. But hell yeah, man. Like you said, one collection down tomorrow night. Gonna be a
Yeah,
good
man, it's
time over
gonna be
there.
awesome. I can't
Talking
wait
pop
to be
culture.
back on a stream Friday night with my bro, man.
See,
Honestly,
I know. I said that for you, Fable. I said that for you. Man, my man, don't fuck with
my
this
bad, bro.
promotion. It's this thing.
My bad.
If you guys can't tell, Toy Story 4 is over because she's starting to scream at me. So I gotta wrap it up. I gotta go do daddy things. I appreciate all you guys in the chat. Two Gun, Fable, E, Rogue, Allison, Troy, up in this bitch. Inja, the Benja. Appreciate you, Stu, you old sexy son of a bitch. You jolly, jolly guy. All right, we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate all you people, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, y'all.